Hello and welcome to Africa Today. I am Esther Mopariola. On special days when new heights are attained in history, nations often take time out to reflect on the past, analyze the present, and project into the future. Dubbed Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria is a dramatic prose where the plot continues to swing between the strength of diversity and the crisis of identity, ensuring that restructuring is more than a word and federation is not just an ideology. On this episode, I will be speaking with a Lagos State lawmaker on key national issues in the wake of Nigeria's 57th independence anniversary. We take a report and Africa Today will continue. Welcome on board.
The calls for a restructuring of the political and governance system, especially on areas of revenue allocation and fiscal federalism, were given a huge boost this year by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, among other notable Nigerians. They believe that Nigeria's present governance model is lopsided and meant to promote corruption and laziness among operators of the system.
Only Lagos State is currently able to generate up to 50% of its revenue internally, thereby reducing the dependence on allocations from Abuja. The call for restructuring is even more relevant today in light of the governance and economic challenges facing us.
But these proponents have also made their march in other vocal analysts who believe that past political office holders are the ones that have failed to run the constitution effectively. These analysts insist that the present structure does not prohibit good governance. They also believe that the opposition is sponsoring the debate to distract the incumbent government. Others disagree.
What are you restructuring? I think with proper governance, Nigeria will be a better place. If you have good governance, you have good roads, you have 3 square meals on your table, what are you looking for? Nobody will be agitating for any restructuring.
Restructuring has become an inevitable sine qua non for the continuance of this Republic of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
After listening to debates, the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, took up the challenge by setting up a committee with 12-point areas of focus to hold public hearings across Nigeria. Their goal is to gather diverse public opinion on the subject, which will now be harmonized and sent to the government and the National Assembly for action.
Welcome back. From the era when protectorates were amalgamated and beyond the point when independence was gained, this democratic dispensation in Nigeria remains the longest-running democracy in the nation's history. And for a nation going through a challenging phase in time, conversations are constant on the essence of governance and the dividend of democracy for the people. Joining me in the studio on Africa Today, I have Dayo Fafumi, a member of the Lagos State House of Assembly in Nigeria's Commercial Love Center, Lagos. Good to have you here on the program. Now let's talk about this matter, restructuring. Restructuring isn't today, we've been hearing it, it has been discussed, for some time, but let me have your thoughts. What does restructuring mean to you?
Well, for me, I would say that the restructuring means so many things to different people. Restructuring for me means devolution of powers. Now, what do you mean by this? A lot of people believe that since independence, we have a lot of the federal government, the federal system have aggregated so much power to itself that, it does not reflect who we are as a nation. Now, to some, they will say that restructuring means restoration of federalism. And it depends on the way you want to pick it from. I will start with the general conception that there is need for us to devolve power. Now, when you look at what happened to us as a nation, don't forget that after we gained our independence, at that point, the federal government still resides at independence, they allow the regional government to operate. We were practicing federalism. We have parliamentary system of government. The regions were operating, and every region, derives their strength from their comparative advantage. There's no region that goes cap in hand to Abuja to get funds. There was no free fund anywhere. So as a nation, we see ourselves as a federating unit, which every region were contributing to the growth and development of the country. And after some time, that 1960 constitution, which we all subscribe to as Nigerians, was violated in 1966. And because of most of the ills plaguing us now, most of the problems confronting us as a nation, were as a result of this violation of 1960 constitution. You will agree with me that when the military came, they felt that the power belongs, too much power resides with the people and in the region. They feel they need to unitarize Nigeria. In a bid to unitarize Nigeria, they created states and took away powers, almost all the powers, from the states and took it to the center. You will imagine that when they created 12 states, we were looking at it from 12 to 36 states of the federation. And the more they create these states, you will agree with me that they take more powers to the center.
All right, let me quickly come in here now, because I'm quite interested by the way you put it, devolution of powers, more like revisiting the 1960 independence constitution. But if you are talking about the states that were created in the unitary system of government, and you're talking about going back to what we had in the past, are we looking at, dissolving the states, having regions in that format, or what exactly are you looking at in terms of regional power as we had in the past?
No, I'm just taking you back to the memory lane.
I understand where we're coming from, but realistically, how
we
can that be achieved?
Realistically, we cannot go back to, the regions and start practicing regional government.
So what is the ideal way if we're to look at it?
Well, the ideal way for us to go this time around is to devolve power to the states. The states should have more power and have more control. You imagine in Lagos State, for example, most of the roads, the key roads, you will see, it's only in Nigeria you have Trunk A road, Trunk B. You see roads within the cities, the metropolis of Lagos, they tell you they are federal roads. The governor of Lagos State has no control over those roads. That is just by the way. You look at many challenges confronting the state, which ordinarily, if the states are allowed to generate their own resources and grow at their own pace, they possibly will not be where they are. I'm one of the people that believes that law should be an instrument of social change. It should be an instrument of growth and development, and it should not be used to limit the growth of any country. Now, from what we have as a country now, I can say that one of the limiting factors, one of the things limiting our growth and development in Nigeria has to do with the Constitution. And you can't take away the fact that the Constitution as it is was hurriedly put together. And in doing so, a lot of things that are not even meant to be in the Constitution are there. And because it was put together by the military, who had the intention of unitarizing the country, they have concentrated so much power into the center.
Yes.
So, look, when you look at what has been happening as a nation, at a point, you see the Niger Delta agitating for resource control. At a point, you see some group of people springing up from different parts of the country, trying to agitate and, get government attention because they believe that the resources of this nation is not evenly distributed. That's just the cross of all these things. And, people will now try as much as possible to get to power at all costs to take away the resources. Nigerians, up to this moment that we're speaking, we don't see ourselves as Nigerian. We always refer to our region. It's a Yoruba man, it's an Hausa man, it's an Igbo man. By the time this devolution of power is done, by the time we see ourselves as one indivisible entity, one Nigerian, it will not matter to us which region any person is coming from. But to a large extent, what I'm trying to talk about when I say devolution of power, basically, is to allow the state to control its resources. And all these agitations from east, from everywhere. You know, even in Lagos, even if you see any mineral resource, any resource, it still does not belong to you. Your shoreline, your coastal line in Lagos, more than 65% of it is water. Now, your shoreline here, you have limited control. Even the water that is within Lagos is now being controlled by federal government by virtue of the judgment, the Supreme Court judgment recently. So what it was a high court judgment. Now, what we're saying in essence is, look, if you allow states to do a lot of things, there are so many things that you have on the exclusive legislative list that does not have any business being there. In America, the state creates local government. It's not that the federal government will create and foster uneven development across the state, which will generate animosity and people will start making agitations. If states is allowed to control its own resources, I'm not saying Lagos will start controlling all the West, but every state will look at its own comparative advantage. Where lies your strength? At a point, Ondo State was really doing well in the production of cocoa. So many, Ondo, Ekiti, and other regions. The North were doing well in groundnut. We have groundnut pyramids in the North. And the Easterners were equally doing well until the discovery of the oil and over centralization of all our resources and effort. Every attention was now shifted to oil, and oil alone cannot solve our problems. So that's why we're saying that devolve power to the region, let the states give more power to the state, let the state, become self-sustenance, and in a way it will develop the country. That's
so in other words, devolution of powers to the states is your stand.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, let's quickly take a break. You're watching Africa Today, and we've been looking at key national issues in the wake of Nigeria marking 57 years as an independent nation, and I've been discussing this matter with a Lagos State lawmaker. Stay with us for more details, more discussions after this break. Welcome back. You're watching Africa Today, and I have in the studio with me a Lagos lawmaker, Dayo Fafumi, a member of the Lagos State House of Assembly that's in Nigeria's Commercial Nerve Center. So yes, we're discussing restructuring, and the restructuring matter definitely would not go away anytime soon, because not only has it been before this generation of ours, it will still prop up in the next generation. So going forward, or rather, let me come in this way. Would you say that the restructuring matter could be as a result of marginalization of the tribes in the region, or what exactly would you say is the reason behind this constant agitations and calls for restructuring?
Quite simple. Uneven distribution of resources. Now, you will agree with me that when you look at the Nigeria as a whole, we have different needs as a country. Now, when you meet the needs of the people, I mean, each country, that's equality. But equity is when you give to people according to their needs. Now, in Nigeria, what we want to happen, what I want to see happen in Nigeria, is to see equity being achieved. What do I mean? Let each state develop at its own pace. Do you know what will have happened to the economy of Lagos State if Lagos is allowed to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity? There will have been rapid transformation in this country, especially the state of Lagos. We all know what happened when the telecom sector was liberalized. Now, what we're saying, we should not use our laws, our own laws, to stop or mitigate against our growth. Why must it be that any state can generate, but whatever they generate, it has to be limited to an area? I mean, that's not no right-thinking investor will want to bring his money and invest While we are still battling with electricity generation to stimulate our economy, what are we producing as a nation? Those are the things that are giving us problems. And we're saying, look, if we're able to we negotiate, we sit down. In my state, I need X and Y. This is what we want. We have airport, we have seaport, we have everything in Lagos. Bulk of the money that's been generated from our seaport and airport goes into the federation account. What percentage of it does Lagos State get? We've been canvassing for a special status, but because we don't have equal representation, certain regions have more number of representatives than us, we cannot get it through.
Let's quickly come to one matter you raised, Lagos being should be recognized as a special state, should be given that special status. What exactly are you looking at? What exactly do you want the federal government to do with respect to this?
Well, to give Lagos, for now, you will agree with me that in the area of transportation, we are facing a lot of challenges. Even recently, you see the traffic gridlock from Apapa. You know, most of the tank farms, they bring oil, petroleum products into Nigeria. And these tanker drivers, you and I understand what we're facing. You know, it's just that what we want, what I am canvassing, is that federal government should not just make money, all this money from Lagos, without giving us derivative. We're not being, without giving us special consideration.
Consideration in what level? In
terms of giving us, look, what we're getting is the resources is being shared across. Now, when money that is...
So you should have a higher percentage?
We should have a higher percentage. We should have a fixed, percentage that, look, we say Lagos because of this and this. And you will see that most of, Lagos being the former capital of Nigeria, most of the federal government institutions, most of them are still here. And how do you now maintain those facilities or those institutions when we're not being given special status? The roads, go to Apapa now, go to all the federal roads that we're facing. Though frantic effort is being made by the current minister to restore this road, but that is what...
It's not enough.
It's not good enough. What we want is let Lagos control its own resources.
All right, let me come back to state police creation, which you suggest perhaps would aid the restructuring matter quite well. But there have been some fears that if this creation of state police is being done, perhaps some state governors might misuse the opportunities given to them to create their own police for their own selfish reasons. Do you have any of those concerns here?
Well, gone are those days with those concerns. At a point, we feel that the nation, when such things happens, the governor can, or whoever can get away with it. But Nigeria has evolved to a level that every Nigerian knows they are right, reasonably, I would say. Look, if no governor can abuse the institution, the police force will be an institution, the state police force will be an institution. We will develop what we're doing. We're not building it around any individual. We are creating an institution in a way to do it. Look at what is happening in Lagos State. I'll keep referring to Lagos State. Bulk of what you see in terms of support for the police is being done by the state government. Kudos to the man with the uncommon ideas and vision, the governor of Lagos State, the only man who had decided to give Lagos light, and we're happy for him. I don't know how best to describe Governor Akinwumi Ambode for what he had done. So looking at what we have invested as a state, if you have a home police, won't you do more than that? Even the federal government, I'm able to say, have not provided the kind of facilities that we have given to the police. So what we're saying is, look, we know federal government has a lot of responsibility. Concentrate on the economy. Concentrate on defense. concentrate on immigration, concentrate on certain things that
concerns them.
That concerns them. And do your international, how do I say, that concerns international relations, do everything to project and promote the image of the country. Those are the responsibilities.
All right, moving forward now, what are your possible speculations or recommendations for our country so that we do not, reach the tipping point that might be very grave?
Well, my recommendation is for us to look at all the regions and listen to them. God gave us 2 ears. You have your own idea as Mr. President, but you should equally listen with the other ear, because people are now clamoring for restructuring. Nobody, no right-thinking person will think of breaking up the country. But what we are agitating for is, let us have a fair share. Let every region be important. Don't create economic advantage for a region and leave the other to the disadvantage of others. Let all of us
share equitably.
Let there be equity. That's the whole concept. That's what we're agitating for.
And there is a likely possibility that the APC government might look into that?
Well, I'm not speaking.
Because that's your party.
It's my party. I'm not speaking for the party, neither am I speaking for the state, but I'm just expressing my view as a citizen of Nigeria and someone that strongly believes that, there are things we need to do right to remain one indivisible, country. That's the whole thing.
All right, and we do hope that issues like this will be looked into and it will be bettered a lot of every Nigerian. Thanks a lot, Dayo Fafumi, Lagos lawmaker, for your analysis on the program. It's a pleasure.
Same here.
Amidst an ongoing debate and the path restructuring should take, Nigeria finds itself at crossroads with the drums of regional agitation contending with the voice of reason and national dialogue. Recent developments should act as a wake-up for government to urgently address the lingering issues for the nation to unleash an unimaginable level of greatness in little or no time. And that is our package for today. But don't forget to join the conversation, as usual, on Twitter at TVC News NG. And also follow me for updates around Africa at Esther TVC News. Until the next one, I am Esther Mopariola, and always remember, change starts with you.
Nice.